employment without talent
Yep, this is what we have.
Oh, that's right.
Yep, we're down
two.
two. Yep, we're down two. This is
Okay.
it. Should be fast. No pressure. What? What? Joe moved. And Bill
I'll second.
seconded.
7.
But what? Oh, I don't know if he has. Pardon? Ryan.
Supplemental condition.
Ready? We're calling this meeting to order. This is Morgantown City Council regular meeting. We're in Mon County Commission chambers. It's Tuesday, December 20th, and a little bit after 7 p.m. And if the clerk would please call the roll.
Joe Bugon,
Present.
Bill Kolecki,
Here?
Ixia Vega,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Trumbull,
Here.
Dave Harshbarger, Brian Butcher, Mayor Celine,
Here. Now we're going to stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have two sets of minutes. One is December 2nd, 2022 special meeting minutes, and one is December 6th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. And if anyone has any concerns about the minutes or additions,
Correction was made.
pardon? Then we're good?
Right, yes, thank you.
Acclamation? Okay. And now under correspondence, we have International Human Rights Day and awards. Bonnie wanted to come up. Usually we read first, and then we present facts. Very good. So, Human Rights Day is observed each year on December 10th, commemorating the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the United Nations General Assembly, and is celebrated throughout the nation and in nations around the world. And in this year of 2022 marks the 74th anniversary of the signing of the Universal Declaration, a highly influential document which is credited with reducing human suffering and improving the daily lives of millions by affirming the enduring university of its perennial values of equality, justice, and human dignity. And whereas the Universal Declaration is based on the proposition that each person is entitled to a full range of human rights, and that each person's responsibility to uphold them for the other. And the city of Morgantown, located on land of indigenous people, has been built by generations of colonists and inhabitants, including visitors, immigrants, refugees, and asylees, who have worked together to create a community where people can live and work without fear of discrimination. And whereas the city of Morgantown has committed itself by adopted policies to provide equal opportunity for its residents and visitors for participation in local governance, employment, housing, and public accommodation without regard to race, religion, color, national origin, ancestry, blindness, disability, sex, gender, identity, sexual orientation, familial status, or veteran status. Therefore, I, Jenny Celine, the Mayor of the City of Morgantown, West Virginia, do hereby proclaim Saturday, December 10th, 2022 to be International Human Rights Day in the City of Morgantown, West Virginia, and encourage all residents to work together in the coming year on ways we can achieve even greater progress in respecting, protecting, and fulfilling the full range of human rights contained in the Universal Declaration for all members of our community. I'd like to hand this to you.
Thank you, Mayor Sling. We appreciate you issuing this proclamation. And on behalf of the Human Rights Commission, I have 2 awards to present this evening.
Wonderful.
To our individual Human Rights Award winner, Ixia Vega. Ixia, if you would like to come forward, please.
Come on, Ixia.
And the right piece of paper. There we go. So I present.
Back up to my seat.
Thank you, Mayor Celine. I present this plaque, Human Rights Day Award 2022, for outstanding leadership in advocating for human rights and building inclusive communities, presented to Ixia Vega, awarded by the City of Morgantown Human Rights Commission, December 10th, 2022. So first of all, with congratulations.
Thank you.
Please accept this award. And to say a little bit about Councilman Ixia Vega. She is the West Virginia Field Organizer for Planned Parenthood voter South Atlantic, former Planned Parenthood national storyteller, and sits on the board of the abortion fund Holler Health Justice. She has also previously sat on the Young Women of Color for Reproductive Justice Leadership Council with the Youth Action Network, was a recipient of the Joyce McConnell Award for Outstanding Feminist Leadership at WVU in 2020. And when Ixia is not organizing with Planned Parenthood, she also serves as Morgantown's 3rd Ward Council representative. She's the proud daughter of Mexican and Guatemalan immigrants, and we applaud her work for human rights.
Thank you.
For our organization award this year, we have Chella, who is a co-director of Holler Health Justice, serving Morgantown and West Virginia and others.
And all of Appalachia.
And Appalachia in the broader sense. Human Rights Day Award of 2022 for outstanding leadership in advocating for human rights and building inclusive communities, presented to Holler Health Justice, awarded by the City of Morgantown Human Rights Commission, December 10th, 2022. So thank you. A little bit about Holler Health Justice. It was launched by a group of young activists promoting reproductive health, rights, and justice, looking to meet the substantial need for funding and practical support for West Virginians seeking abortion care, with guidance from the National Network of Abortion Funds, launched in August 2018 to become the first financial and practical abortion support fund in West Virginia. A majority of board members and co-directors are people of color and LGBTQIA+, and from low-income backgrounds. Holler Health Justice believes that those directly impacted by an issue are best positioned to design and lead solutions. Holler Health Justice operates under a worker self-directed model and is the first nonprofit to be unionized under the West Virginia State Chapter of the Industrial Workers of the World. In addition to abortion funding and practical support, HHJ expanded its scope of work in 2019 to meet additional health equity needs of Appalachians by providing free emergency contraception, harm reduction materials and services, and assistance with voter ID and engagement. In 2022, HHG partnered with Harvard University's FXB Center for Health and Human Rights and Project N95 to distribute high filtration masks for free throughout West Virginia to help limit the spread of COVID-19. As of 2022, HHJ offers the following programs and services throughout West Virginia and Appalachia: abortion funding and practical support, free emergency contraception, ID obtainment and voter engagement, rapid response and mutual aid, and more. So we applaud the human rights work of Holler Health Justice. Thank you.
Thank you. We do not have any public hearings. We do not have any unfinished business with boards and commissions unless someone here has something. So we do have one appointment. We haven't discussed it.
Okay.
To the, okay.
No, it's fine.
No, this is a good idea. To the
Morgantown Community Resources.
yes. Is it Morgantown or Monaco? Morgantown, okay. So we do have one opportunity that came up, and it's an opportunity to have a city council person participate on Morgantown Community Resources, which is the body that takes care of the physical building of Hazel's House of Hope. And one of our council people has already been attending some of those meetings, and so we may here have a nomination for a city representative to the Morgantown Community Resources Board.
I would like to nominate our Deputy Mayor Danielle Trumbull to the Morgantown Community Resource Board.
Thank you very much. Is this agreeable with the rest of
Need
you?
a second?
Sure, second would be great.
By acclamation.
Okay, by
Sure,
acclamation.
Certainly.
Thank you for that reminder. That's why I was hesitating for a minute here. All right. Now we are to the public portion, which shall be subject to rules established by council and adopted by resolution. And that would be that you would have 4 minutes to speak, that you would provide your name and your address.
Good evening. My name is James Coatson. You have heard me here several times in the last few months as chair of the Morgantown Green Team. Tonight I am serving as the conservation chair for the West Virginia chapter of Sierra Club, P.O. Box 4142, Morgantown, West Virginia. I'm speaking in favor of a community solar resolution, which you have in your packet, and I have with me a fact sheet that I'd like to share with you all. I'd like to hand those out. Yes. The gist of the resolution essentially is a resolution urging support for legislation that would authorize a community solar program in West Virginia. Earlier this evening, you heard from Delegate Hansen. He is sponsoring a bill. The particular resolution is not specific as to which community solar. It is simply to convey the sense of the council that you are supportive of this program. What is a community solar program? Well, essentially it is a program to allow any ratepayer to purchase solar electricity regardless of whether they own their home, are in a good solar location or not, or for just about any reason. In essence, this type of a program is currently legal in 22 states, including several surrounding West Virginia. I believe Ohio and Virginia currently do authorize that. And the program would allow virtually anyone to participate. Some of the real benefits of such a program. First of all, it provides for energy fairness. It essentially allows anyone who wants to purchase solar to acquire that regardless of their current circumstances. It helps to promote resilience and security in the electric grid by providing additional sources of electricity. It helps to provide for competition within the electric services community. Currently, anyone authorized to sell or to purchase electricity is required to purchase it from our current local utility. As was mentioned, there has been a legislation authorizing utilities to adopt solar farms. Our local utility has a program where they are asking for subscribers in which each subscriber would pay approximately 40% more than their current electric bill. This kind of a community solar program would allow other entrepreneurs to get into the business and would help provide significant savings to local ratepayers. And so I am hoping that you will adopt this resolution, and I would be happy to answer any questions for that. Again, it is strictly a resolution of support for local legislation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Emily, are we able to move the mic so it gets to people's mouths?
Yeah,
Thank
move
you.
it sideways.
Mayor Selin, members of the council, my name is Kennedy Roberts. This will be my 9th winter as a resident of Morgantown. I live at 222 Pleasant Street in the old Greer building. Before I begin, I wanted to say I'm sure I join with the members of the council and members of the community at large in that I'm praying for Councilman Butcher and that he would have a speedy recovery and ongoing wellness, and that the hands and minds of his doctors would be guided by the Lord. I wanted to give this to the council. I am in attendance tonight to bring to your attention several maintenance issues that need to be addressed in our city. These issues are causing inconvenience and potentially even danger for our community members. First, the lane markings on Prospect Street at University Avenue have not been repainted after paving was completed. This is causing confusion and potentially even accidents, as drivers are unsure of which lanes they should be in. Second, there is a traffic light timing problem on Willie Street at Spruce Street. Northbound traffic on Willie Street never gets a green signal until traffic comes southbound on Willie Street. This is causing delays and inconvenience for drivers, especially late at night when it's not likely that someone will be coming from the other direction for long periods of time. Third, several lighted green street signs in the downtown area are burnt out. These include Walnut Street at High Street at Pleasant Street, Spruce Street at Walnut Street, and Walnut Street at Spruce Street. It is important that these signs be maintained as they serve as important guidance for pedestrians and drivers, and I personally find them to be an attractive element of our downtown. Fourth, there is a sign on Stewart Street southbound at Protzman Street that is incorrectly labeled. The sign currently reads, "Cross traffic does not stop," but should say, "Oncoming traffic does not stop." I've certainly seen a few close scrapes at this intersection, and additionally that sign is damaged, so it might be a good opportunity to go ahead and get the correct wording on that sign there. Finally, there are pedestrian warning flashers on University Avenue at Falling Run Road and near Pizza Al's that are not functioning properly. The flashers on University Avenue at Falling Run Road only make an audible beep when you press them, and do not flash the lights. And the flashers near Pizza Al's only work when the button is pressed on the Pizza Al's side of the road. The button on the Towers Lincoln Hall side of the road does not work. This can give a false sense of security to drivers approaching these pedestrian crossings when they don't see the lights flashing. Once again, I appreciate your attention to these issues and hope that they can be addressed as soon as possible. Thank you for your commitment to maintaining a safe and functional city for all of our community members, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening, Council. Jamie Summerlin, 209 Kingwood Street. Actually, I'm proud to be here tonight with fellow Greenmont business owner Brian Hunley, someone who's passionate about our community and making our neighborhood better. Our Greenmont Neighborhood Association met last night. We started taking nominations for officers and discussed future plans for the association, including the proud work of the cleanup crew that would happen this weekend. Thanks to Deputy Mayor Trumbull for providing materials for the cleanup. And we also talked about a new program we will be launching pretty soon called the Greenmont Angels. More info to come on that, along with the launch of our new website. Thanks to Councilman Kowecki and Deputy Mayor Trumbull for attending the meeting last night and providing input. Also, February 20th happens to be the 123rd birthday of the incorporation of Greenmont, a time when, as I found out, they actually elected a mayor and council back in 1899. We're starting to make some plans, especially leading up to the 125th birthday, which will be coming in a couple of years. Speaking of celebrations, a couple of things I wanted to bring up. Holidays. Christmas is coming, as we all know. And I wanted to address something that was brought to my attention concerning some of the Christmas lights downtown and businesses wanting to spread some cheer. A couple of weeks ago, Starport Arcade placed some Christmas lights in the tree immediately outside of their space. And within 48 hours, the lights were down and the extension cord was left hanging in front of their establishment, still plugged in. And it just so happened to be a pretty rainy weekend that anybody could actually plug into over that time. Also, a couple of years ago, Main Street Morgantown had purchased some lights, had them hung, and were cut down shortly thereafter. The question is, are our trees in Morgantown susceptible to Christmas lights that other trees in the state, Grafton, Fairmont, other places, or around the country are impacted by? The comment that was actually made to me, the city of Bah Humbug, was a term shared. And I love the lights that are on the streets right now. But I've seen videos that have been shared with me. 13th Street in South Philly is absolutely amazing and looks like High Street. But they have done a phenomenal job year after year of decorating that and making it a tourism destination. And I think it's certainly something that the city could address and would be happy to be a part of in future years. Proud of the council tonight. 11 minutes late. That's great. I watched the rest of the council meeting after the executive session 2 weeks ago, and Councilman Kowecki addressed my concerns about meeting consistently, starting late. The recommendation was to move the meetings to later. As a lot of the meetings I observe have gone later than the suggested 11 p.m. time, I would suggest that starting later doesn't always help those that he was meaning to, although I understand the recommendation. And the other thing with that is that I do note that a lot of times, fortunately getting started earlier this evening, our media outlets tend to leave around 9 o'clock because their deadlines have to be met. And if we start later, then certain comments from the public portion and public hearings might not always get published. And that's certainly something that I think the community misses out on whenever we're able to provide comments. So I want to wish the council Merry Christmas. Thanks for all that you guys are doing. Thanks for everybody that's been attending the community meetings. And I look forward to seeing Morgantown continue to prosper.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening, and I wanted to express my, I think there was a very well thought out resolution tonight about making solar energy more accessible to the people of Morgantown. But I'm here tonight also as a member of the West Virginia Women Vote Coalition and a recent volunteer co-coordinator with Rebecca Aranda. We worked to get a bunch of volunteers together, basically, to help people get to the polls for early voting. And there was some mixed success with that. It led us to believe that transportation is not the only issue here, and some of the issue is due to voter registration and making sure that that's very acceptable to, or accessible to folks in Morgantown. We have a proposal, and it is to ask the City of Morgantown to pass an ordinance to require residential landlords and sellers of homes to provide voter registration forms to new residents. We believe it'll help everyone keep their paperwork in order and be able to vote without delay, without any sort of gap. There are a lot of folks who come to Morgantown or move around the community and would not have that opportunity to vote, would only be able to vote, due to further scrutiny at the polls and not cast a regular ballot. We hope the City of Morgantown will consider this, as it is a very easy to implement measure that would create voting access to a lot of Morgantowners. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? All right. Thank you very much. There are not any special committee reports or a consent agenda. We're on to new business. Item A is consideration of approval of a city council policy for city council meetings. Is there, I don't know if the manager has something to say on that or if our attorney does.
Thank you, Mayor. This policy is a modified version of a policy previously presented to council about a year ago. Proposes a compilation of rules for city council meetings in one document that closely tracks the practices that council currently follows based on its accreted history or other adopted rules. In general, provides a process to place items on the agenda and have those items reviewed by staff and council members as appropriate, and then provides general rules for the conduct of business at council's meetings.
Is there,
Move to approve.
how would you like to work this?
Ryan, does this have one reading or two readings, the policy?
Council can adopt these rules with just one reading.
Okay. Is there any way that we can do it 2 readings? Just because we have 2 absent members, and I don't know about everybody else, but I don't feel like I got an adequate amount of time to go over this.
Like this.
Certainly,
Move to
council
table
does-
until our next meeting. Can we just, instead of tabling it, can we just pass on it? We can table.
I guess we're into discussion. I didn't find anything unusual or objectionable. It seemed to me it's pretty much what we already practice. I do understand that the actual distribution of this in the packet was, we could have used a little more time to go over it and perhaps digest it. But again, I didn't find anything objectionable. I wouldn't mind moving it, but if you think it's better to hold off and wait for a more complete council, I would support that too.
Yeah, and and I feel like we talked about this before, but we didn't bring it up before we wrote up the policy again. But to have something put on an agenda so far right now, we need to have 4 members of council to move it forward. And I don't remember where we landed on this as a group, but I would like to explore that being 3 instead, because if we do 4, then we already have a vote essentially.
And I think that's, my understanding is that's what the Supreme Court does. Great.
Yeah, certainly if council wants to discuss any changes you would like to see to those rules, that's perfectly fine, and we can update those and bring them back. You have, Councilor, you can adopt these rules on one vote at any time. You don't need to do that tonight.
Okay. Thank you.
So we're subject to tabling, we're discussing, is it?
So we're already out of order.
We're already out of order. I had 2 other minor changes that could be added in for next time if we could discuss before we table.
Yes.
I think that's already happening.
All right. Counselor Kwecky had talked about 7:30 as a starting time. And I think that that's a good idea. And so I was wondering if when it came back, it could have the 3 for putting something on the agenda, and if it could have the 7:30 on it. We can always change it back to 7 by next time, whatever we want, but.
Do we, I guess I'm wondering, would it be more, because I feel like before we have our meetings and when we're having our special meetings and our interviews, all of us ask questions and things like that. And while I think that's good, I feel like maybe we could even cut time if only certain council members ask that person specific questions rather than going around the room.
But that, we can just eternally decide, we
Yeah,
can internally
decide.
decide that if we want to.
I am not in favor of a later start time. We are usually already here until 11 or later. This is not my only obligation, and I like to sleep sometimes. I think just like making interviews 15 minutes instead of 20 minutes, that clearly hasn't taken our start time back to 7 as it's supposed to be. And I think that starting at 7:30, we're just going to be finishing later and later. We're not going to be finishing any earlier.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes.
I didn't see it in here, and maybe I missed it. Does it actually specify the start time, or is that strictly on what we
It's,
choose?
it's on number 4.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't want to answer for you. It does address start and finish times. However, it does allow for council to change those times, if I'm reading correctly.
That
We
is
can
correct,
change.
Counselor.
And that would not necessarily require an ordinance change in order to do it, although it would be updated.
It would be an ordinance change,
Well, okay.
an update of an ordinance.
Can we?
I'm sorry,
Can we
just-
just?
Semantics, yes.
These rules are not adopted by ordinance, so you could adopt them by one vote, you could change them at any time by one vote, and they do provide within the rules for certain decisions council could make at a meeting, such as determining the time it will end, or changing the order of procedure.
It may be appropriate just to discuss these things in a workshop. No, that needs meeting sometime to do that.
Yep, we talked about that.
And then argue these things through. I appreciate what
Or
you said.
discuss.
All right, I'll argue, you discuss. Well, in any case, that might be a more reasonable way to approach some of our concerns and debate our way through to get some sort of understanding. The difficulty is doing this in a manner that's open, but also getting the conversation going as to what's appropriate. I'm willing to hear any kind of suggestions as to how we might proceed.
We can have a workshop. Workshops are public. People can come and watch us discuss and debate and argue.
It's fine with me, again.
Are these, I mean, do we need a workshop or do we need to just discuss it during our meeting? That's kind of the question. I guess if we had a workshop, we could talk about issues like how to keep the meetings shorter.
Yeah, there are a couple of things you might address. You know, we can interview less people.
We could?
We could start a little later, as I had suggested, because I know that nobody wants to go beyond 11 o'clock, and it's always drop dead time. So it seems to be the problem that we have is interfering with council's, members of council's other responsibilities.
We can't go any earlier.
That's what I mean.
Yep.
So we can't go any earlier. So we started at a reasonable time, 6. How much time do we need for what we have to accomplish in those meetings? We try to get 3 people in, perhaps we only need 2.
We can practice what Counselor Vega was talking about and have, and just have 3, on a rotating basis, have 3 people ask questions instead of having everyone ask a question. We often pass on questions.
Well, if we could do that, we could suggest that council can have the opportunity to ask a question should they want to, rather than designate a person. and say, but they also have the opportunity to say, okay, I've heard all I need to hear.
Any of the above?
Well, and that's the kind of thing that, if we talked among ourselves, determine as to what would be acceptable, we could move forward.
Yes.
Workshop?
So move to table this ordinance until such time as we can have a workshop with the members of council present.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. If the clerk would please call the roll. On tabling.
Joe Buchanan,
Yes.
Bill Koecki,
Yes.
Ixia Vega,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Trumbull,
Yes.
Mayor Celine.
Yes. All right, we have a schedule. Item B, consideration of approval of a resolution of the City of Morgantown supporting the legalization of community solar in West Virginia. Is there, I don't know if the manager or the attorney, or I think we've heard our presentation from the Green Team.
Information on this, I
Yes.
think.
Move to approve?
Second?
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
I think it's important just to say for the public that we had a work session with our legislators prior to this, and it was well explained to us by Delegate Evan Hansen. So it's not that we're not having discussion, it's that we've already had discussion.
So this comes forward from Morgantown's Green Team, and it's also recognizing that this is going through the legislature right now, or has the possibility of going through the legislature right now. So is there any discussion? If not, if the clerk would please call the roll.
Yes, Joe Buchanan,
Yes.
Bill Koecki,
Yes.
Ixia Vega,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Trumbull,
Yes.
Mayor Celine.
Yes. Passes unanimously. Consideration of approval of city manager contract. This is the city manager contract. It's been discussed, and it includes items such as further clarifying the residency requirement. And this is what happens every year when we look at the city manager contract. Is there anything else that anyone would like to say on this subject?
I have a question.
Yeah,
I think it's a question for Attorney Simonton.
okay.
I asked you for more information today, and in your email you had said that this was also had an update to the vacation or PTO policy. Is that just switching it over to our new system per the employee handbook, or what? How is that changed from the last? Because it says, per pay period and things like that, so I have a hard time figuring out what that is and how it equates. Is it more time off, less time off, same time off, just?
That's correct. The revisions to the contract changed the specified allotment of vacation leave days accrued to the city manager to a different number of paid time off days. Those number of days are roughly 1.5 times the number of vacation days that were accrued under the prior contract. I believe that ratio is about the same as the city employees' general switch under the new handbook, where employees previously accrued vacation leave and sick leave and now accrue only PTO leave, but is available obviously for any purpose they choose. The accrual rate is, I believe, 9.25 per pay period.
And it's higher because it's combining the old vacation and sick time.
That's correct.
And my understanding is that that's within our current adopted employee policies and consistent with that.
That's the accrual rate of PTO for employees with 15+ years of service under the current handbook.
Very good.
With 15+ years of service?
That's correct.
No offense to the city manager, but he's been with the city for 2 years, so how does that work?
This is a term in the contract that city council provides the manager with. Any contract can modify those rules. So the prior contract provided a separate vacation allotment that was also different than the standard amount that would be accrued under the personnel rules.
The request was for more time off versus a pay raise.
Don't we, all right, this was my question. See, this is why I asked today.
Yes.
We currently have a very significant amount of staff, particularly firefighters, that are complaining that the new employee policy that we did not vote on, I did not vote on it, does not allow them enough time off or as much time off as they previously had. That's one of the things that we are hearing. So I guess I'm having a hard time with management getting extra time off when we're taking it away from employees.
I don't think we're taking it away from employees, and I don't think that they're wanting to not have raises to have more time off. But if that's some kind of consideration, we can certainly work on that.
What are we talking about in terms of differences here? Do you know offhand? I mean, without pulling out the calculator.
Can you tell me what the question is?
Well, you're talking about 9.25. What are we talking about otherwise? If that weren't the case, if it weren't this longevity of 15,
I'll have to check. That's, let's see, that would be
6
probably
weeks.
2/3 of that would be for an employee who has 0 to 5 years of service.
Can we just put this in terms, in the old contract, how many weeks of time off were given?
Well, under the prior contract and handbook, the city manager, like all employees, had 18 days of sick leave and then also had a vacation allotment. I can look up the amount that contract provided if you would like.
in terms of the contract that's currently in place, that he was hired under, what did we hire him under? I mean, are we changing things? Are we taking things away that we've already offered? I didn't see that, that's why I want to know.
The prior contract initially signed gave the city manager what was termed 20 paid vacation days per calendar year.
And 18 sick days?
18 sick days was not provided by the contract. That's a general provision of the prior employee handbook before the city switched to a paid time off regime. So that would have been an accrual rate per pay period of something like 3.1 hours.
Do we give
Or I'm sorry,
experience
that's
years for people who transfer departments?
6.2 hours.
Do we give experience years for like people that come from one police department to the other? Or I've used the example of firefighters. So if they were a firefighter for 10 years in Elkins, West Virginia, and they become a firefighter here, do we give them experience for that?
Not for purposes of leave accrual. They do get pension service credit
feel like this is something that we as a council, I just got this yesterday afternoon. I haven't even had 36 hours to look at this, and I did ask you for the old contract and the changes that had been made, and I feel like if this was a change that we were going to be asked to look at, vote on, approve or not approve, it should have been spelled out. I asked you, so you sent me a copy of the contract, but I think that was just to me. Have you seen the red line of the contracts and things that I don't think it's fair to vote on this right now before everyone has a chance to digest this. Because the only thing that was provided in our packet was the proposed contract. It didn't have a copy of the old contract, which we all did have a copy of. But you also sent me a red line that said, here are the exact changes that are being made, which I don't think was given to everyone.
These contract terms are negotiated by the city council and city manager. I prepared them at the direction of city council. I'm happy to provide you materials at any time that you would like, and you're not required to vote on anything, but this is prepared at the direction of council.
I guess I'm confused about that. When you say at the direction of council, who was that? Did we ever talk about this? I never talked about this. We said that a residency requirement had to be added. We did not discuss any other terms or changes.
That's what you're saying. So, what would you like to do with this then? Do we need a workshop?
I think that the information that I was given should at least be given to council to see if anyone else has any questions about it, like I did. I don't know who was doing negotiating on behalf of council, but it definitely was not me. I can only speak for myself, but this is the first I'm hearing about these other changes. The only changes that I'm aware that we as a group asked for were residency changes to be added based on the kerfluffle over the summer.
All right. Well, we will have further discussions on this if that's what you all would like to do. Would you like to have further discussions on this?
I certainly don't want, I certainly want to keep our city manager, and
That would be good.
that part is the given. And contracts are negotiated pieces of contracts. So,
Yes.
I would like to have some sort of understanding that we're all in agreement and that there's
Yes.
nothing that's being given that's not appropriate. So
All right.
for that point of view,
So-
it would be nice to have
All right.
tolerance
since-
on all parties
since
for
this
the
is-
time
yes.
and somehow work out a way of settling this.
So,
And we'll talk
since this is
over
a-
one another until we figure that out, right?
since this is someone's personnel contract, we can discuss this further with our attorney and get everyone's questions answered. And so, would our contract, if we did not table this but just left it sit till the next meeting, would the other prior contract control?
Yes, Mayor, the current contract remains in effect. There's no need to table this.
All right,
You can, as a council, take this up at any time you might choose in the future.
all right.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with Councilor Kowicki and Deputy Mayor Trumbull I didn't realize how many changes there were on it, and I after everything that's happened over the last couple of months, I would like to look at those changes, but I am again not against voting for a
Yes,
or
well, I would like to give everyone an opportunity to, if they would
I'm
like
not
to see.
against a contract update, but
All right.
I don't feel as though I had enough time
All right.
to.
Well, in this situation, the fault would be mine, so we will have a discussion and then we will bring this back again.
And my fault for not asking for more. I apologize, Ryan.
It's all right. All right. So we are just not going to vote on that. And then we are going to go to consideration of approval of the municipal court judge contract. I don't know who's appropriate to talk to about this. Is this?
I think Emily.
All right, all right. Thank you.
Our current municipal judge contract was approved in 1999, and as we were going through and continuing our cleanup efforts with a lot of our documentation, wanted to simply bring this into current standards with how a lot of these contracts are. So we've been working with our municipal judge, Judge Steve Higgins, and working through our outside legal counsel, Jackson and Kelly, with attorney Wendy Atkins, to come up with a updated agreement for having our municipal judge provide professional services to the city. So included in this contract essentially provides standard terms about continuing to be registered as with the West Virginia State Bar, what our expectations are, requirements to provide certain services, working with the municipal court, having a backup judge, and various other aspects. It does have an annualized contract amount. This is a change from the prior contract where he was a part-time employee that had some benefits bestowed upon him, and this moves him into a contract position with the city, which is a little bit more standard for municipal judges. So again, this is just updating a contract from 1999 to maybe what would be considered more standard in today's day and age for those services. And I would be happy to do my best. I know Ms. Atkins has spoken with each of you to kind of go over more of the details of this.
And this is standard with what some of the other judges do. And
yes, this is typically a more standard arrangement with how municipal judges have agreements with their cities.
So
This one we did discuss and negotiate and have information on, so I would move to approve.
Second.
is there any discussion?
Just a comment. Thank the people involved for cleaning this up. It was something that was over a period of time. You know, the work that this judge has done has been remarkable and very complementary to the city's needs. But in terms of the way it was put in place, it was one of those many things that it worked and we didn't pay attention to it. So having paid attention to it, I think what we've done is we've made it easier to proceed in the future, and we've made it easier for future councils to deal with these kinds of things without having to arm wrestle people in and out of court. So for that point of view, I thank all involved for the participation and the negotiation and the good work. Thank you. Call for the question.
Deal. I would say the same thing. Very, very positive experience with this particular judge, and look forward to continue work. Question?
Joe Buganim,
Yes?
Bill Koecki,
Yes.
Ixia Vega,
Yes?
Deputy Mayor Trumbull,
Yes?
Mayor Celine.
Yes. Passes unanimously. City Manager's report.
I have two items, Mayor. One is that you should have all received a copy of the program management program that has been developed by staff. If you have any questions, I'd prefer that you give me a call and let me know if you have any concerns. Second, and that is, the intent of that program is to help improve feedback between staff, administrative staff, as well as city council on specific projects that have been discussed. The other is that we have an employee lunch tomorrow from 11 to 2. It will be held at the Morgantown Readiness Center, 90 Army Band Way, and you're all invited to attend. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Report from the city clerk.
Yes, Mayor. Kind of a little response from to Marlene Negas, who brought up about our election and voting. So I wanted to share that we've made some changes to our polling places and early voting. So we will be sending notifications out to our residents who, or by way of their MUB bill. We'll have flyers sent to them, and that should be showing up in their invoices beginning in January. We're going to be doing that 2 times. So the first one will provide information about getting registered to vote. How do they do that? Where is early voting? Where does it occur? What wards are up for election, which is something new this year. And links to provide them more information about the election. So there'll be a simple QR code on that flyer. Hopefully folks will be able to take advantage of that and go to our city's website to grab all the information about our election. We want to work harder to get more folks out to the polls this year. So look for that in your January bill. And then again, sometime before the election, the next flyer will provide information about polling places. With the precinct changes, the residents or the registered voters' polling place may change. So we want to make sure that we get that information out to people ahead of time and know, give them the information as where they can reach out to us if they can't find it. So it's about 10,000 flyers that are going to be going out in January. So if you know of anyone that has any questions, have them call me. I'd be glad to answer any questions. And that concludes my report. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you. Report from the city attorney.
We'll be meeting with the Development Services Department this week, including the building official, to review some of our processes regarding permit applications, notices to owners of issues to correct, and site plan review for the Development Services Department, and also to preview the forthcoming updates to the comprehensive plan, which the team expects to have adopted by June of this year, so that should be coming out to council soon. We'll also look to clean up a couple of lingering issues from the proposed vacant structures code update, and hope to get that before city council in January. Sorry to have missed your session with the legislators this evening. It looked like it was well attended, and from what I could hear, like you all had a good and lively discussion with them. I'm always happy to track bills that are moving through the session, or assist with any legislative issues or communications you have as it progresses. So please keep me in touch with those, and I'll communicate with you about those as well. And that is all I have to report this evening.
Thank you. Report from council members. Councilor Abou-Ganim, would you like to start?
Sure, I have a very minimal report. School is just about done, so expect to see our students out and about on the weekdays next week for the break. And with it getting colder, getting ready to snow, I always urge everyone to please shovel their sidewalks for everybody that uses them, and to be safe this holiday season. That's it.
Thank you.
Yes, just to go over, it was a very productive, or I think, good exchange among the council and legislators today. So I thank the people who put that together for us, our city clerk and what have you. I think we made some good cases for some of the things that we've done and some of our hopes and expectations in terms of help from the legislature. I was impressed tonight with Mr. Roberts' presentation, the thoroughness of his walk around the town and pointing to our difficulties. I really do appreciate that, honestly. And if I didn't already have a representative on the Traffic Commission, I would be knocking on your door. However, there is another group that meets, the Pedestrian Board. And their concerns are similar. And if you're interested in this, that would be a good participation for you, and you'd be more than welcome, I'm sure. So I offer that invitation to you, and if you need any more information on it, I'd be happy to talk with you about it. Other than that, attending the Greenmont Association of Neighbors meeting was very pleasant. It was good to see the participation. The number of people that they had there, I think it was 17, was the number I heard, which is, for a neighborhood gathering, very good. The fact that they meet in jeans, probably an incentive. However, it does add to the atmosphere in that community and its vibrancy. So I'm pleased to see that up again, reinvigorated and moving forward. And by all means, you know who we are. Come to us, and you have a very sympathetic audience. Other than that, I wish everybody else the very happiest of holidays, too.
Councilor
Not too much to report. Our warming shelter is getting a lot of use, and because of that, sometimes we still need things. So if anybody is feeling particularly giving in this season of giving, please consider donating to Morgantown Ramp via Venmo or Cash App to get things like blankets, some pillows, and other supplies that they may need. Speaking of period of giving, I promised the high schoolers that I would bring this up again, but in the back table over there is flyers for a menstrual equity drive that the high schoolers are having. They also have boxes in several locations that I can tell you once I pull up the picture. They have it at the Art Bar, Stick, River Birch, Terra Cafe, The Grind, Hoot and Howl, River Fair Trade, Blue Moose, Quantum Bean, and Buddy's Bud Co. So if you are feeling particularly giving to our young people at their high school, please feel free to donate. The flyers in the back have QR codes to their Amazon list, and all of those donations are going to be going to filling up period lockers at the high school that's open for everybody to use, because a lot of folks don't have access to period products at home, end up missing school, so this is really important to our young folks. And besides that, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Hanukkah started last weekend, so Kwanzaa starts on the 26th. So happy holidays to all.
Deputy
Me,
Mayor?
as if I haven't said enough tonight. I have been hearing wonderful things about the Morgantown 311 app as I have been attending different meetings around town, neighborhood meetings and such. So I'd like to commend staff on their attentiveness to that. People seem very pleased for the most part, after we worked out a few initial kinks with it. Speaking of being pleased, the winter weather is on its way, and I can already hear the calls about snow plowing and salting. I would like to remind everyone that the city does have a contract with DOH to handle some of the more main state routes that go through town. So if we are a little slower in getting into your neighborhood and side streets, please be patient. We have taken on for the last season or two some of the treating of the main roads to really help alleviate some of that travel concern. But we'll get there. Just a reminder, I've been attending the Built for Zero meetings with the West Virginia Coalition to End Homelessness, and there are a lot of committees on that are doing things like joint case conferencing among local nonprofits and services, but the point in time count is coming up January 25th to 26th. That's an annual accounting of all of the unsheltered folks in our community, and they always need volunteers for that. So if you look at the West Virginia Coalition to End Homelessness social media, there's a link on there for volunteering. The warming shelter always needs volunteers. They're serving 40 to 50 people a night, which is way more than they were anticipating. So, as Councilor Vega said, volunteers and supplies are always needed. And one final thing I would like to bring up is, based on some recent expenditures and things that Council has approved, I would like to revisit the presentation that we received from Sarah Palfrey, the director of the Morgantown Public Library, a few weeks ago. She came to us with a need for just over $100,000 to make sure that our downtown library remains accessible and ADA compliant. They need new mechanicals as the elevator keeps breaking, and it's getting harder and harder for them to find replacement parts and things for that because it is so old. So she came to us with a need, and it seems like it was just kind of brushed aside. But whether it's ARPA funding or contingency or wherever we need to scrape that together from, I would like to see us help them with that need, because the library serves a lot of people in this community, all different demographics, and it needs to remain an accessible and welcoming place to all. Other than that, happy holidays.
So there's been a lot going on, and it's been a wonderful month. I really enjoyed the parade that was a bit ago, but that sort of gave a nice feeling to High Street and our downtown. And on Saturday night, there were two markets, one that sort of led into the other. On Pleasant Street and a couple of the buildings there was a really nice market where the vendors could be inside, and then for the more brave vendors, they were out at the night market in the farmers market shelter, and they had warmers up and down the center there, and it was just both of those markets were wonderful and just made you feel good to have a nice downtown. Meanwhile, over at the Seneca Center, they had 3 days of festivities and discounts and good feeling there. So that's two of our areas. It's also, wonderful in many of the other parts of town where people have businesses. These just happen to be two where there was some central activities going on. On Sunday, I was lucky enough to attend the National Diving Championships at Milan Park, and it was really neat to see excellent diving, and I got to put some of the medals on people, so that meant that they were up on standards, and I'm not super tall, so they're like having to, the swimmers, who some of them are really tall, or divers, pardon me, the divers were bending down, and then I could try to slip a medal over their head. But that was nice opportunity to get to meet the divers and meet the media people who were working really hard, and all of the people there who were making a positive experience. And just wonderful when things like this can come to town. And a lot of other really good things going on. I wanted to mention that the manager contract came up after he had had a positive review. And we had talked about residency terms in the past, so we were making sure that those were in the contract. And after the positive review, we had talked about what a raise might look like, and so we're just kind of following up on that. And it's my fault and my fault alone that council did not know the specifics of what that looked like, and so we will have that discussion. But that is nothing to do with manager performance and nothing to do with attorney performance. It's on me, so I would be glad to have that discussion. And I'm not meaning to provide surprises. So I guess that is the end of this part of our meeting. We have 2 executive sessions. Is there someone who would like to read us into executive session? Or I can read it.
No, I have.
Do you have it?
I believe so.
All right, thank
Pursuant
you.
to West Virginia State Code Section 6-9A4, parentheses B, parentheses 12, to discuss potential or pending litigation and matters protected by the attorney-client privilege. And then second is pursuant to West Virginia State Code Section 9-6-9 A-4, parentheses 2, parentheses 9, to discuss acquisition or development of real estate in the 6th Ward.
Second. All right. Ixia. Counselor Bay. All right. We're moving into executive session.
Thank you.